Okay, it's time to start taking a closer look at the 3 new legendary ships available in the Legendary Last Stand bundle, and I'm going to be starting with Legendary Negh'Var here, which I think is probably the most hyped up, the most talked about ship in this legendary bundle, because we've been asking for a Legendary Negh'Var for years. Now, Legendary Negh'Var is a really good ship. It's got a solid layout. It's a Dreadnought. It's got a 5-3 weapons layout, Intel Command pairing in the seating, which is really nice to see there. So it's a really nice ship. It's really good for energy weapons. It's really good for torpedo builds. It's going to be a solid. I wouldn't go full tank. I generally don't like to go full tank on an Intel ship, but you could do that if you wanted to. It would be pretty easy to do with that command seat. Plus the hangar bay too, so you've got room for Type 7s if you want to use those as well, so that's even more debuff. This is a solid ship. It's also got an enhanced battle cloak, so if you want to run a torpedo build, that's going to make this even better for a really stealth-focused torpedo boat, because you can just leave that enhanced battle cloak on, and you'll still be able to fire your projectile weapons. But the big thing that a lot of people have been talking about is that how this ship is, in a lot of ways, a copy-pasted version, stats-wise, from the Legendary Galaxy Dreadnought, which is another legendary ship that is available in the Mirror Universe bundle. And one of the reasons why that is relevant is because the Mirror Universe bundle is much less expensive than this bundle right here. The Legendary Last Stand bundle at the introductory sale costs a bit over $100, whereas at its base cost, the Mirror Universe bundle costs 6,000 Zen, which is roughly $60, and that's not counting sales. So you could easily get that for up to like 35% off if you wait for certain sales, making it even less expensive. Of course, the reason for that is that the Legendary Last Stand bundle comes with 3 legendary ships in it, whereas the Mirror Universe bundle only comes with the one ship. But it still brings into the point of, like, if you're only after something with this sort of layout, obviously you're probably going to gravitate more toward the Mirror Universe bundle than you are going to for this thing. So one of the things I really wanted to do for this video is really take a closer look at the individual stats of both of these ships, the Legendary Negh'Var and the Legendary Galaxy Dreadnought, and really just highlight how close are these ships to compared to each other, really. Because, yeah, they have pretty much the same bridge officer seating, but there are more stats just to think about than just bridge officer seating. So the stats on the Legendary Negh'Var: first, it's got a hull modifier of 1.45, a shield modifier of 1.1, 5-3 weapons layout, 4 device slots, bridge officer seating. We know it has a commander engineering / intel, lieutenant commander universal / command, ensign universal, lieutenant science, and lieutenant commander tactical, 3 tactical, 5 engineering, and 3 science consoles, a base turn rate of 10 degrees per second, impulse modifier of 0.17, inertia rating of 30. Power bonuses are +15 to weapon power and +5 to aux power. It can equip dual cannons, and it has a enhanced battle cloak. It's got a hangar bay filled with the Chancellor's Chariots pets, which weren't really that great. It's got the gather intel mechanic, the cruiser command auras for weapon system efficiency and attract fire, which is pretty typical of a Dreadnought. And it has the Dreadnought Cruiser Mastery Package, which gives buffs to hull regeneration, damage resistance to energy and radiation damage, a buff to crit chance, and a buff to maximum hull HP. Now let's compare that to the Legendary Galaxy Dreadnought Cruiser. Like we said, it's got the exact same bridge officer seating, so Lieutenant Commander Tactical, Commander Engineering / Intel, Lieutenant Science, Lieutenant Commander Universal / Command, and Ensign level Universal. But there are some other small differences in the rest of it. It's got a slightly higher hull modifier with 1.5, same shield modifier, but the turn rate on Legendary Galaxy Dreadnought is only 5.5 with an impulse modifier of 0.15 and an inertia rating of 25. Which means the Legendary Negh'Var is actually much more maneuverable than the Legendary Galaxy Dreadnought Cruiser. Additionally, the Galaxy Dreadnought's console layout is slightly different, having 4 tactical, 5 engineering, and only 2 science. And the Legendary Galaxy also has a phaser spinal lance, which that has been something that has brought up a lot too with Legendary Negh'Var. I know a lot of people were really adamant that the Legendary Negh'Var should have a lance, and honestly, I really can't say that I agree, especially looking at their stats closely like this. Not only is Legendary Negh'Var much more maneuverable, but it also has an enhanced battle cloak. It really doesn't need a lance on top of all that. I know a lot of people have been using that one scene from The Way of the Warrior where the Negh'Var angles up and attacks Deep Space Nine with those big honking giant disruptor cannons that are slung onto the wings. They kind of look like auxiliary warp nacelles, but they've also got 2 giant disruptor mounts on them as well. And people have been comparing that to a lance weapon. And for one, no, a lance weapon is a beam, so they would be more like a juggernaut array, which this is not a juggernaut, it's a dreadnought. And 2, honestly, it doesn't seem that special to me. You could easily compare that to something like a dual heavy cannon or a number of different consoles that already exist in the game, like the disruptor autocannon, which is available off of one of the old tier 5 versions of the Bortosk. There's also the console off of the Mata class Raider, which is the heavy disruptor spinal cannons. That would also have a similar vibe. However, this console is bound to the Mata Raptor, so that's not going to really help you on the Legendary Negh'Var here. But if they ever decided to unbound that console, you know, that'd be kind of nice, don't you think? Yeah, honestly, Legendary Negh'Var, I don't think it needs a lance, especially when you consider the fact that it has better maneuverability stats and an enhanced battle cloak, both of which the legendary Galaxy Dreadnought does not have. And honestly, that high turn rate on this ship, it's really nice. Like, you pack that with some other buffs for turn rate, and this thing will start to feel almost like a warship rather than a dreadnought. Now, since this is a legendary ship, that means it comes with the consoles and traits of all previous versions of the Negh'Var. However, there aren't a lot of other versions of the Negh'Var. The only other tier 6 version of the Negh'Var from the C-Store or otherwise is just the original Negtev, which only comes with the molecular cohesion nullifier. So the Klingon version of this console does not have a set bonus because there are no other versions of the Negh'Var, so there was nothing else to put in a set bonus with it. Unlike the Federation and Romulan versions of the molecular cohesion nullifier, which do have other versions from past, from lower tier versions of those ships, like mainly the the Deradex and the original Galaxy Dreadnought. So yeah, those are also on those as well, but yeah, they don't have a set bonus here on the Klingon version because there was no other version. Honestly, the console is very dated. It doesn't do much. I didn't even bother to test it here, so it's just kind of there. Don't really worry about it. It's old, it's dated, its passive is kind of useless because it doesn't stack with any other max power bonuses, and the actual clickability itself doesn't do all that much damage because there's a very limited range, and really it's something that's much better suited toward exotic builds because it's all physical damage rather than something that you would think would be more useful on a build like this. Like kinetic damage or even like disruptor damage would be really nice, or some sort of other energy weapon damage type, but nope, they gave it physical, and that just means it's better on an EPG build, and even then it's still not that great because it's got such a limited range. And just like with the console, this one also comes with one old starship trait, Explosive Polarity Shift, which again, another really dated starship trait. It really doesn't have much use in the early state of the game. Like, yeah, I'm using reverse shield polarity on the build here, but I did not bother to use this starship trait. It's not very good. I wouldn't bother with it. Even though this one does actually deal kinetic damage, still it's not a lot of kinetic damage, and it still won't trigger until it goes through the entirety of reverse shield polarity, which actually is going to be worse with the setup I have because I'm also using that duty officer that extends its duration, so it's going to be even longer before you get that explosive polarity shift. So yeah, not a great starship trait with the current state of the game. Now, the new legendary trait on this thing, this I had high hopes for, and it has proven to be quite disappointing. Destabilized Disruptor Enhancer. The way it works is anytime you activate an Engineering Command or Intel Bridge Officer ability, you'll be able to apply a damage over time effect to enemies, as well as deal an AoE of disruptor damage that can hit multiple targets at once, which sounds kind of nice. Honestly, it works a little bit like chemosite-laced weaponry, and the problem is that it does just about as much damage as chemosite-laced weaponry, which is not great considering that this is a starship trait, not a bridge officer ability. I ran this through a Jupiter Gauntlet a couple of times and consistently got a little over 1,000 DPS with this thing, which is not good for a starship trait. Now, before y'all jump down my throat for being a DPSing elitist, I get that not every new starship trait has to completely shatter the meta as soon as it comes out, but at the same time, this is a starship trait that is exclusive to a bundle that costs over $100. I'm not saying it has to break the meta, but it would be nice for it to feel somewhat impactful, especially considering how much it costs. I'm not saying it has to be the new meta starship trait for disruptor builds. I'm just saying it shouldn't be being outperformed by a bridge officer ability that I can pick up on the exchange for 15 million energy credits. Starship traits are a very valuable and very impactful portion of your build, potentially, depending on the starship traits that you are using there. So a starship trait that is doing such little damage is kind of a waste of a trait when there are significantly better things that you can put there. Even starship traits that are considered fairly mid that you can get out of the C-Store, like Strike from Shadows or Supercharged Weapons, I would take either of those over Destabilized Disruptor Enhancer in its current state. Now, I know discussions are happening in the content creation channel of the Stowe Discord about the starship trait, so there is a possibility of this getting a bit of a buff. We'll see what the design team decides to do. But in its current state right now, considering how much this thing costs, this is not a good starship trait in its current state. This needs some sort of buff to make it more useful, because in its current state, it is not worth the money that it costs right now. So yeah, aside from the starship trait, the ship isn't bad. It's just like there's that whole hang up on how similar it is to the Legendary Galaxy Dreadnought. And honestly, I know I made a big fuss about this, but honestly, the more I'm playing this, the more I'm getting over it, just because it's so refreshing to have a new Klingon ship, for one. Like, we've been getting so many Fed ships. Like, when they announced this bundle, I was so happy that it included a Federation Klingon and a Romulan ship, because, like, don't get me wrong, I love Federation ships to death, but at the same time, it is so refreshing to see new alien ship designs. Like, I love the Romulans. Romulans are my favorite alien in Star Trek, so I was so happy to see a new warbird in there. And while I wasn't right on board with the Legendary Delenn right away, like, it really won me over really quickly. But with Legendary Negh'Var here, I feel like there are a lot of KDF players who are less concerned about the fact that it has bridge officer seating that is identical to another ship, which is also really good. But I think they're just more excited to finally have a tier 6 Negh'Var with modern stats, stats that aren't, aged as hell. Because, like, when the heck did the original Neg-Tev come out? Yeah, here, let's look at this for a second. Here's the fleet version of the original tier 6 Neg-Tev, which has a hull modifier of 1.43, shield modifier of 1.1, turn rate of 9, impulse modifier of 0.15, and inertia rating of 25. Bridge officer seating, Lieutenant Commander Tactical, Commander Engineering, Lieutenant Commander Engineering / Command, Lieutenant Science, and an ensign level universal here. So that alone right there shows you the difference between the original Neg-Tev and this new legendary version. While it's got similar hull and shield stats, the movement stats on the new legendary version are quite a bit better. You get an extra degree in the turn rate, you get quite a bit more in the impulse modifier, and the inertia rating is a bit higher too. But the bridge officer seating, that's where it really shines there, because the original one is very engineering heavy, whereas the legendary version is much more well-rounded, having a universal seat and an intel seat. So you're getting bridge officer seating on the legendary version that has much more versatility than this original one. And frankly, there are only so many variations of bridge officer seating. We've only got a limited number of slots, we've got a limited number of divisions, and a limited number of specialization seating. So with how long Star Trek Online has been out and how many ships are currently available in the game, and if they're going to keep making new ships, yeah, this kind of thing is probably going to happen. It's happened before, it's probably going to happen again. I guess that's just kind of the reality of Star Trek Online it's coming up on its 16th year, unless they decide to introduce a new specialization. And even then, it's probably still going to happen because, again, they still have to keep making ships. It's not like bridge officer seating, like the layout of it all, is going to change all that much because these still have to be T6 ships. Because, guys, they're not going to introduce Tier 7. That would be an absolute shit show. Like, it was a miracle that the game survived the introduction of Tier 6 ships. They're not going to do that kind of crap again. It would be unbelievably foolish for them. So yeah, we're gonna be stuck with Tier 6 ships for a while, and unless they decide to do some sort of drastic change to the way bridge officer seating works, this is just something that's probably gonna happen from time to time. Do I wish they would go to a bit more effort to try to make sure that bridge officer seating on new ships isn't so similar to previous ships? Yeah, I do, but at the same time, if they're going to reuse seating layouts from ships from the past, at least in this case, they took the seating from a ship that's actually good. It could have been a lot worse. Could have just copy pasted the seating off the Parliament or something. Can you imagine that? Ugh. And like I said before, there are still some key differences between this ship and the Legendary Galaxy Dreadnought, that besides the seating. Keep in mind, this is a much more maneuverable ship, and it has an enhanced battle cloak, whereas the Legendary Galaxy Dreadnought, it technically has a cloak, but it has to use that old cloaking device console in order to be able to use a cloak. And even then, you're not going to be able to have a battle cloak on that thing without using more of that console set, which frankly is just annoying and really is not a good trade-off in order to get just a battle cloak. So really, you're just better off going without it anyway. So the fact that the Legendary Negh'Var has an innate enhanced battle cloak, that's a noticeable difference right there alone, especially if you like torpedo builds, because like I said before, you can fire your projectile weapons while the enhanced battle cloak is active. So I guess my big summary on this ship is that, yeah, its bridge officer seating isn't original, but at least it's good seating. And honestly, I feel like that's enough for me to be like, yeah, this is fun. Like, it's seating from a ship that I already like, so that helps me like this ship too. It's more maneuverable than the original ship, so that's gonna definitely help with forward-facing builds like scatter volley or torpedo builds. Plus the fact that it looks really nice. Like, this is the revamped Negh'Var skin, which is gorgeous. There's also the classic Negh'Var skin, which is actually, you know what? Let's just go look at the skins. Here we go. We'll do a little visual review before I give my overall opinion on this ship. So yeah, it's got the revamped Negh'Var skin, which I am a big fan of. Like, this thing is gorgeous. It's really nice to see like a contemporary 2409 Klingon class that is like updated into like the modern visual standards of the game, because there are so few of those nowadays. So it's really nice to see that they were able to add this revamp to the game, because otherwise, like, if you wanted like a modern contemporary version of a Klingon ship, it's kind of just the Bortosk, and that's kind of it, because the Bortosk got a revamp a while back. I don't think any of the other, like, I can't think of off the top of my head any like contemporary Klingon ships that are like up to like the current state of Stow's visual standards. So this right here is just really like refreshing to see. But of course, this is not the only skin on the Legendary Negh'Var. We've got the classic Negh'Var skin right here, fresh out of Way of the Warrior, which looks absolutely fantastic. And of course, there's the Legendary skin, which is based off of that, the Kronos 1 version of the Negh'Var, which, you know, it's got the gray with red hull material on it, the gold filigree on it, some small changes to the base model. Like, besides, you can see here, like, it's got this this gun mount here on the you know, coming off the head, which is actually from the Vodley model, which this is the model based off of the version from All Good Things. So technically this is the original version of the Negh'Var, the Vodley, which lacks the two big honking cannons at the bottom, and has some difference in the patterning on the hull as well, and also these weird gun mounts at the tip of the wings as well. But yeah, it's got this thing here, which they brought over to Kronos 1. The bridge module here is a little different, which they did something similar to this on the legendary version of the Vorcha as well, to give it a more almost kind of like D7 version of the bridge module, which is kind of cool. They also added a little mount here. I'm not really sure what this little pyramid thing here is, but it looks neat. But yeah, beyond those skins, there's also, like I said, there's the Vodley, which is the All Good Things version of the Negh'Var, and there's the Kudaj, which I think we can all just ignore here, because this is another one of those that is super dated. Hopefully this can kind of get the Negh'Var treatment at some point in the future, because like, there's potential here. Like, I really like the hammerhead shark look on the head section of the ship. The nacelles and the wings are kind of a cool shape. This ring thing here is kind of weird, but I imagine they could probably do something with that to make it look kind of interesting, or just remove it altogether. I don't know, but yeah, there's potential with this thing. It's just that it, you know, it looks like it's probably close to 15 years old. So yeah, honestly, I'm probably gonna stick with the Negh'Var skin for now, because like I said, it's really nice to see like a modern 2409 contemporary design in Star Trek Online's modern standard that isn't the Bortosk. Like, I like the Bortosk, but you know, it's nice to have something more of this vibe too. So overall, with Legendary Negh'Var, yeah, I know I complained about this thing having the exact same bridge officer seating as the Legendary Galaxy Dreadnought, but honestly, I'm kind of over it. It's just nice to have a Negh'Var that doesn't have stats from 2015. It's nice to have a nice modernized version of the Negh'Var. It's got great skins on it that look fantastic. Like, the seating is really good. Like I said, if they're going to be copy pasting seating from old ships, at least they're good ships. You know, and that is what the Legendary Galaxy Dreadnought is. That is a solid ship with a good reasonably versatile layout, and it worked for the Negh'Var too. So I'm glad they did that as opposed to something that doesn't have good seating if they're going to do that. Like I said, with how many ships there are in Star Trek Online, and with how many possible variations there are in bridge officer seating, this stuff is going to happen, especially because we know that Star Trek Online is always more concerned about theme and vibe more than anything else. So if it's going to happen, at least they copied the seating off of a good ship. Right now, the only complaint I have with this thing is the Starship trait. It is a huge underperformer. So if we could get that to performing a bit better, not a bit better, it needs to perform a lot better, but if we can get that performing to a reasonable level for something that you paid $100 for, let's, that'd be nice to see. So hopefully that happens. But beyond that, honestly, I really want to take back a lot of my past criticisms about this ship overall, particularly around the bridge officer seating, just because if they're going to do that, at least it's fun. I'm enjoying the ship. And I'm sure that a lot of KDF players are going to be having fun with this, just because, the Legendary Negh'Var, it's been requested for a long time. And, like I said, I think a lot of players are just going to be happy to have a modern Negh'Var that doesn't have 10-year-old bridge officer seating. So that's kind of what it comes down to. So yeah, let me know what you guys think down below. Do you agree with past me in that the bridge officer seating was kind of a bummer? Or do you agree with current me in that it just doesn't really matter all that much, because once you start playing the ship, it's just nice to have a ship that feels nice? I feel like if they released another Federation ship that had the same seating as another Federation ship, like if they released a Sovereign or something like that with the exact same seating as the Legendary Galaxy Dreadnought, I feel like that would be something to cause more of a fuss about. But the fact that these two ships are ships from completely different factions, particularly from different player factions, I don't know. I'm kind of over it at this point. So I feel like it doesn't matter quite as much then. But yeah, let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. And while you're down there, like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. If you'd like to further support the channel, hit that join button to become a member. Check out the affiliate links in the pinned comment. Check out the merch store down below. If you're ever shopping on the Epic Game Store, be sure to use my content creator code STU1701, especially because, guys, Black Friday is coming up. There's going to be a bunch of game sales coming up. So if you're going to be shopping over there, please use my creator code STU1701. It really helps me out, and I really do appreciate it. Either way, though, thank you so much for watching. My name's Stu, and I will see you guys next time.